Hi everyone, Maksims Sics here, founder of flowbyteai, where we help businesses slice wasted hours out of their workflows with smart automation. Quick question to you, how many times have you stared at an Excel sheet thinking there has to be an easier way? Most people use maybe 5% of Excel's powers, and the other 95 feels buried under some ifs, pivots, and formulas you don't have time to learn. The gap is exactly why Microsoft dropped Copilot into Excel. It's like having a data analyst whispering answers while you work. Ask plain language questions and it fills in the rest. Over the next week, I'm releasing a 6-part mini-series that shows Copilot in every Microsoft 365 app. Today, we kick off with Excel, turning messy sales data into a profit dashboard, highlighting trends in one click, even running Python insights without leaving the grid. If you want your team ahead of the curve, or you just want to stop wrestling spreadsheets, stick around with me, hit subscribe button, and reach out to flowbyteai. Let's keep your business competitive while everyone else is still dragging formulas across rows. In order to get access to Microsoft 365 Copilot, you either have to be on your personal account and basically paying for Microsoft 365 apps. In this case, the Copilot is by default included in your plan. Or if you have a corporate account, then in this case, you will need to add additional license for Microsoft 365 Copilot. It's $30 per month, and it's going to be added in the admin center. Since I have the corporate account, I will show you how we can buy a license for our corporate account. So we have to go admin center Microsoft. You log in your case, if you don't have access, you may ask your IT department to do so. So in this case, we have to search for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, doesn't show me straight here. Okay, here we go. Microsoft 365 Copilot. So you click here. And again, if you have a personal account, you pretty much have the same settings that you need to go. The only difference is you will have the buy products using the corporate account or private account. I have a corporate account. So here you can buy by year, monthly. If you buy a year, you get a discount, but you can pay monthly, try it out and see how that works. So here you have to buy the license. In my case, I already have one license, so I have to manage and add an additional license. I'm not going to do that now. So once you click buy and you add it to your account, then you have to go to billing and licenses. And basically here you will see all the licenses that are assigned to your accounts. And in my case, I have to click assign license. You have to pre-select your account and click assign. And in 5 to 10 minutes, you will have Copilot added to all your Microsoft 365 apps. If you don't see it in your account, what you need to do, you will need to go to Excel. Here's your Excel, and you need to go to File, Account, and Update License. Once you update, check it again, like 10 to 15 minutes, I guess, and it should be out there. If we're going to open a new Excel sheet, let me show you how this is going to look. So we open it, and we have the Start with Copilot icon here, so we can start generating tables straight away. Also, what's going to change, you will see that small icon appears right in here, and you will have an add-in added to your Home tab, basically next to Analyze Data. In our case, we're going to use a pre-created file with the sales data so I can show you what are the key features of the Copilot. So here is our Excel file. What we have is order date, region, category, sales amount, cost, and profit. And let's start with asking a simple question, our Copilot. Let's say which category was the most profitable. Okay? Basically, what it should do, it should take into account the data that we have on the sheet and basically analyze the data and provide us with the insights what was the most profitable category. As you can see, we have a few categories here, not so many. So it says office supplies was the most profitable. Do we believe it? Let's check this out. So for this one, we need to use the unique function for the category, and then we might use sum if function. So if we're looking for profit, then we go to sub category, and then we're basically going to check for all of these. So in our case, office supplies has made 23,427, and indeed, it was the most profitable category that we're selling the stuff in. That's pretty nice. Okay, let's ask one more question. Let's ask which subcategory was made the biggest revenue in July 2025. And this is a tricky question. The tricky question because if we look at our dates here, we have the July for 2024, and if I scroll down here, the July for 2025 data is not available. Okay, and if I look at the Copilot, it says I encountered an issue while processing your request. Okay, let's ask it to try again. Sometimes that happens. Maybe it just got stuck at some point. Okay, now it says I looked through your data for the top subcategory and there are no matches for this period. And this is brilliant because it found that there is no data and it did not actually hallucinate and provide it with any response, but it honestly told that there is no such data in it. Okay, cool. So now instead of July, let's actually check it to June 25 and see if it can handle that. While it's doing its work, I will go and check that out by manually doing this stuff for all the sorry, there we had to do subcategories. Let's do it like this. Let's replace all. So we've got all the subcategories right in here. Okay, so this guy says I encountered an issue, so it doesn't want to work for the first time. So encountered an issue, that's fine. Once we do the unique function, we'll need to do the SUMIF function by different conditions. So it found that category C license has the biggest revenue. So let's actually check this out. And in order to do that, basically what we need to do, we'll need to basically either manually select the Julys, select different subcategories, sum this up, and this will take a lot of time, or we can use unique and SUMIF to check this out. Well, in my case, in order to do that, I will need to somehow, using the SUMIF, understand that the month actually that we're looking to filter by is July and the year is 2025. And I don't have these columns separately. I can always use the formula, but that's going to be a complicated formula. So instead, let me ask it calculate, I'm sorry for the caps, calculate and insert two columns with the respective month and year. Okay, so let's see if it can handle that. So I wanted to actually extract the months from this column and the date and the year from this column into separate columns. So then later on, when I use a SUMIF function, I can easily do that. So now it says, hey, we have to use this for the month and we have to use this formula for the year. And this is how the columns are going to look. And if I click insert, it's basically will insert two columns next to the table. And now I have each month for each date and each year for each date. That's perfect. And now I can go with SUMIF's function and check if it calculated this correctly. So let's use, we've got different subcategories, and this is going to be the subcategory we're looking to, let me actually do it a little bit differently, like this. And then we're looking for the month to be November. And we're looking for the year to be 2025. Okay. Something went wrong. So let me quickly check what was wrong here. I'm sorry, not November actually. We are looking at June. Okay, so now it's good. So this guy told us that category C license has the revenue, the biggest revenue, and it was 5,910. So if we look at these numbers, actually we can see that indeed category C license was the right amount. But in order for me to come up with this solution, I needed to add two more columns. I needed to use unique function and I needed to use SUMIF function. So if some of you guys don't know these functions, it's going to be actually hard to get the numbers, right? To do that manually or with filters or whatever. What is cool about Copilot, I didn't need to do all those workarounds. I needed to add additional columns. I needed to do unique and SUMIF. I got it straight away here in the chat. So the data that we receive from it, it's pretty reliable and that's pretty nice. So next, let me actually ask it to add some conditional formatting to my data. For example, I have an imaginary company that have all the data that is over 500 in profits being selected as green. I want the data that is from 200 to 500 be highlighted in yellow and below 200 in red. So let me ask it, highlight the profit over 500 in red, from 200 to 500 in yellow, and below 200 in red. So let's see if it can handle that. Actually, the things that you select doesn't really matter. So it doesn't matter if I select this or a specific range, it doesn't read that. I don't know either, unfortunately or not. Let me check that what it does. So it looks at the table and says calculate the value, apply the following to the column profit. And it's gonna apply over 500, gonna be red. Oh, I actually mistyped this thing, so it should be over 500 should be in green. So let's actually do it, let's correct that. So let's say over 500 in green. So now it's gonna be correct. So that I mistyped the word here, unfortunately, but let's see if it can handle it from the second time, because from the first time everything was actually correct. It's just I mistyped it and it was not really what I wanted to do. All right, so let me check that. So sales value greater than 500 over profit in green, yellow, and red. Let's actually do that and see if that works. Perfect. So now we can see that it has applied conditional formatting to values over 500 being green, from 200 to 500 yellow, and below 200 red. Amazing. In order to do this manually, we will need to set actually 3 rules in the conditional formatting field. So we'll need to pre-select that. We need to go conditional formatting, new rule. We go to cells that contain, and basically here we have to select greater than or equal to, and then we go with 500. We select different formatting. And that's a lot of hassle, and this is just once. You have to do it 3 times to do it for green, for yellow, and for red. Now, with Copilot, I can just tell it what I need to do, and it's gonna do this under seconds, and probably even faster than I was doing it myself. That's amazing. Even more cooler feature that it can actually draw different graphs. So let's ask it to actually show total sales amount by region in a bar chart, okay? So let's see how quickly he can handle that. And the hard part about this one is that the sales amount is in this column and the regions are in this column. So ideally, we can't really generate the graph straight from that. So we can pre-select something like this. We can go insert, bar chart, select the bar chart. And then basically we need to go to select data, delete the data we don't need, add the additional data for the regions. That's a lot of hassle, right? We don't want that. Instead, here, Copilot actually generated a graph for us. Let me actually see. So now it says I analyze the data. So here's your chart, and I can't really insert that. So generate again. I want to insert it to my spreadsheet. So it generated the graph correctly, but unfortunately it doesn't allow you to insert the graph into the worksheet, and that's really bad. So let's try again. So now it did pretty much the same thing, but instead I have a button right here. So let's actually wait until we get it. So we can click add to a new sheet, and here we go. So we got basically what it did. It created a separate pivot table, and then it actually inserted the right fields that we need into the pivot table and created a chart. So now we have the total sales by central, east, northwest, etc. It even kind of edited the graph that is in 1000 already. So, and it was really, really quick. I love it. Next, let's actually ask it if it understands some finance functions as well. So let's ask calculate net profit margin, and then add this as an additional column. Okay. The key part about this one, and kind of the struggle or the complexity, is that I didn't tell what is the specific formula to calculate the net profit margin. And let's see if it can handle it himself. Because the large language model actually has a lot of pre-training data in it. And that's why it will certainly understand what the net profit margin is based on the data that we have. It's all cool. Unfortunately, it didn't allow me to insert a column. Insert a column. Okay. So let me see if that's gonna help. Unfortunately, when I was testing it, I struggled to consistently get my Copilot to insert columns with certain things. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure what is the reason here, why sometimes it just doesn't want to do what it needs to do. For example, if I tell it to insert a column, it doesn't allow me to do so. In this case, it told me, okay, this is the formula that you need to use, and that's the correct formula indeed, but it didn't create a column for whatever reasons for me. And I'm not sure what is the reason here and why it doesn't want to work when it told to do certain stuff. If you guys know, please let me down in the comments below. Otherwise, let's continue. Also for fun, you can also click somewhere here. The Copilot icon appears. It doesn't really mean it's gonna always reference the certain cell. But in case if you ask, for example, here we have a certain formula and you don't get what the formula is about, you can go and say, can you please explain me this formula? So now what it's gonna do, it's gonna prompt itself with explain this formula and provide the actual formula as the part of the prompt. And it's gonna go into detail and explain what the formula looks like and what does this formula do. So here we go. This formula extracts the year. I mean, it's pretty clear what it does, so I'm not gonna read that. Also, for some fun reasons, you can go and ask it to teach you something new in Excel. Just, you know, if you have a lot of free time, you can, let's try it again because it was finishing the previous one. Sorry, stop generating. Let's do it again. Teach me something new about Excel, okay? So in this case, it's going to take into account actually your data, and it will provide you with some suggestions or some other formulas that you can do using Excel with a new formula. So you may learn something new if you want based on your actual data. So let's see what it comes up with. So it says, let me teach you something about grow by function. Okay, so that's a newer function based on the arrays. That's pretty nice. Not many people actually use that function. So example, total sales by region, we can do and use this formula. So let's actually check this out if it works. So let's go and input that function. Amazing. So now it told us how we can actually sum the total sales amount, I guess. So column E, it was sales amount by different regions. That's amazing. That's a faster formula than I did it with Unique, by the way. So that's pretty nice. I learned something new today. Perfect. Let's move on. And there is another thing that you can use in build into Excel. And as many of you may know, a few years ago, actually, Excel introduced Python in Excel. And not many people know about it and use it. But now with the Copilot, we can actually get additional deeper insights. So we can click get deeper analysis results using Python, basically. Once we click that, it's going to ask us a few things. So we're going to start with the basic model, or we can use a deeper model. So a deeper model, it's a reasoning model that's going to reason for a little bit longer, but it will essentially get a deeper insights. If you have a big or large database, that's exactly what you need to be using. In my case, it's pretty basic table, by the way. So I'll just click start, so that's quicker. But if you have a lot of data and the data is kind of diverse, you might use start think with deeper. So now what's going to happen, basically, it has a native inbuilt Python function in Excel, and this is not kind of Copilot built-in thing. It's just, you know, the regular function that is available to Excel. Basically, you can use Python. But what is pretty cool, what it does now it does the analysis. So first of all, it's gonna preview the data. So how it's going to look, first 5 and last 5, 8 items. Then it's gonna do the analysis, the by category, subcategory, monthly trends, and all that. It just provided me with a graph this time. And by the way, every time you're gonna try it, it's gonna be different things. Sometimes it provides the table and more, and you can actually prompt it like show top 10 subcategories by profit, analyze sales and profit trends by year. Let's actually try that because it's gonna use Python to actually add additional insights. But while it's doing its work, let's actually check what the graph that we just got. The graph actually looks just fine. And what we see here, actually, there are 4 graphs. First is basically total sales, cost, and profit by different regions. That's pretty nice. Again, by different categories, subcategories, and monthly sales trend. That's pretty cool. The only kind of bad part about this one is that this is an image, and we can't really edit this graph. If we don't prefer the colors, then we can't really change that because that's the Python inbuilt, and it provides us an image. You can copy paste that image into your PowerPoint presentation or anywhere else, but you can't really edit the image. And I'll show you just in a second how we can create graphs that we actually can edit. Okay, so let me create it smaller so we can return it back. It's just so big. Okay, so now it created me what I was asking. Let me double check. Sales and profit trends by year. So that's another graph. Again, you can't edit the graph if it was created with Python, but at least we got some sense of what was the amount, the profit and sales. Of course, they are all in one graph and they're significantly different. That's why this line is kind of a straight line. Doesn't really show the trend just because the numbers are very big. So I don't really prefer this graph in this case, but it can help you analyze some stuff. You can ask it to create tables as well. If you want to stop using Python and Excel, you will have to go stop advanced analysis. And now we are back to our regular kind of chat or Copilot model that is going to do whatever we want with our data without using the Python functions in it. So what we can do is I'm gonna start a new chat, and there is a simple trigger formula right here. Add all data insights to a grid. Unfortunately, if I go and say add all insights to a grid, what's gonna happen? Most likely it's gonna say, I don't know what to do, or I struggle to do that. And and by the way, the reason I'm using this particular function that I'm just showing you right now is that it will create a dashboard with graphs for me that I can edit, which is quite important and actually quite nice if you have a lot of data. So in this case, it says, I'm currently unable to add all insights to a grid, unfortunately. So instead, what we're gonna do, we're gonna say, show me all insights from this data. And again, if you guys watching this, if you know why it just doesn't work on the first try, because I will always need to pre-select this particular option from here, as you will see now. Let me down in the comments below how we can work around this quite faster instead of just asking it to do this. Okay, unfortunately, currently unable to add all insights from this data. Something went wrong. Let's actually start a new chat, try again. Sometimes actually it breaks up. So show all insights from data. Okay, and that's interesting. Okay, so instead of me trying to show all data insights, let's use pre-selected prompts which are provided. Maybe that's gonna help. I'm having trouble working on prompts right now. Try sending a prompt later. Okay, there might be like a system error or something. This is really sad. Let me do the following. I'm gonna reload the Excel. All right, so now we're back. Let's try again. Show all insights from this data. Okay, now it seems to be working. I don't know what's going on, but sometimes it just fails to do stuff. All right, so now it's generated me as just a single graph. Doesn't tell me much, but now it's going to provide me with additional prompts, I believe, or I hope so. No, it does not for whatever reasons. So now we're gonna do another thing. So let's say add all insights to grid. So this is the specific trigger prompt to create a dashboard. Oh, okay, now this time it actually worked. So whenever you ask it for insights, usually you will have this button appear. Once you hit that button, it will create a dashboard like this below. For me, sometimes this thing actually works, sometimes it just doesn't work. If I even spell it specifically like this, it just doesn't work and it says I'm unable to create the insights or whatever. But mostly what I found is whenever I see it here and if I click it, then it works most of the time. So that's why first my workaround was asking it for insights first and then pre-selecting it from the suggested prompts. Well, this time it actually created the dashboard for me from the first try. So let's actually see what we got here. We got a sales amount by year. Okay, that's pretty nice. So sales have decreased, but we are in the middle of the year, so that's just fine. What we have here, cost by year and region. So we got a couple years timeline and thousands and costs by year and region. Okay, okay, so all the different lines are different regions. That's pretty nice. Frequency of profit. So it actually kind of assumed itself what are the ranges and intervals, and here we can see that we are mostly trading stuff for about 230 bucks. So that's pretty nice. Again, you can kind of see what's the average check that you have. Profit by region and category, again, that's pretty nice. Sales and profit, highly correlated, and that's pretty clear, like the higher sales, the higher profit. And then we got the sales and cost also correlated because, you know, the cost is probably a fraction of sales, right? So, and this dashboard was actually created in just a couple minutes. And see, like Sics graph, if you don't need all graphs, that's fine, but you can pre-select the graphs you want, and you actually can edit those graphs. So you can add different axes, right? You can change the labels, you can change the stuff. So let's say this was, I don't remember what was this, but let's say sales by region, whatever. I don't remember what was this. So that's pretty nice, and you can get all the graphs and you can insert them into your Excel, and you can even link them into Excel whenever the data changes here, it changes into, PowerPoint, and changes into PowerPoint, etc. So that's pretty neat. And just another thing that I wanted to show you guys, so you can explore more stuff right here. So there is like conditional formatting, pivot tables, etc. It can create them perfectly. Another thing is the web content, so you can turn this on, and this means that whenever you ask something that is not in the data right in the sheet, it will actually search on Google, actually Bing, for that data and return it back here. So you can kind of link it to the real-time data, and that's pretty nice. Also here you can ask an agent if you have pre-created agents in your Copilot, you can access it here. You can add an image, and you can also view prompts for the inspiration if you want to check what are the potential capabilities of Excel to do some stuff. You can use some pre-created prompts here, and of course you can use your mic to just spell what you want. Sometimes it's just faster to just type. Okay, and just another thing that I wanted to show you, I want to open a new workbook, and here I can actually create a table. So I can ask create a table with the current exchange rates for Euro, USD, Australian dollar, and Canada dollar. Let's actually do it like this. I don't remember what was the notation for this. So let's actually ask if it can create a table for me. One thing that we didn't actually do, we needed to tell it specifically where to take this data from, because sometimes it takes the data from random sources and I'm struggling to find where those quotations are coming from. So instead, let me do it a little bit differently. Take all the data from Yahoo Finance. That way we can actually validate if the data is correct, what it actually provided in the table. So now it actually recreates the table for me, and we're going to go to Yahoo Finance. I'm going to check what is the current rates. All right, so let me save that. We have to save that to use Copilot, and let me see. So Euro to USD exchange rate for today was 109, and let's actually go and check that. Euro USD Yahoo Finance. So let me go here. Oh, that's actually not. That's not correct. Okay, so whenever it actually creates a table, as far as I understand, it just doesn't serve the internet, and that's kind of a bigger struggle. But if I go here and I have this toggle on, if I ask just exactly the same prompt, create a table with current exchange rates from Yahoo Finance, USD, Euro, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar. It's gonna create a table for us, but the rates are going to be different. All right, so now we have something coming up. So let me check if there is any difference actually in it. So again, Euro to USD by actually its current date. So it actually provides a source here. So if I click that source, it's Yahoo Finance. And is this actually current? I guess it should be. Sorry, that's a different. So, but unfortunately, I don't see that rate here. So Euro to USD is 109, but in the source it's actually a different number. Okay, so there's like Canadian dollar, but for Euro to USD is 109. And let me actually quickly check that. So let's do 1 divided by this one, 91. And on the source that it was showing, it was actually different, 0.85. So unfortunately, it actually didn't extract the right data. And if I go to Yahoo Finance myself, so it's 116.73. It's even different. It's 109. So unfortunately, it can't actually pick up the right data from the internet for whatever reason. It kind of provided the sources which are from the Yahoo Finance, but those are some like kind of older dates. So it struggled to extract the right dates, which is kind of weird, but yeah, here we are. So yes, it can search the web, but you have to be careful. Not always it provides you with the right data, even like with the insights, as I showed you in the very beginning. It really saves time, but you have to be careful, right? Sometimes read what it actually generates, Sometimes it might actually miss stuff, but for the most part and for the most people, if you're asking simple stuff, that's going to be just enough. And again, here the current exchange rate is different. It actually picked up the wrong or older outdated source. Current exchange rate is different. So unfortunately, yes, it can access the internet, but it can mess up the data. So be careful when using Copilot, even in Excel. All right, so and that's it. Basically, this is what I wanted to show. This is what are the capabilities. You can explore it yourself, but in fact, if you're an average user or junior or an average user, that's going to be a quite a boost actually, because in, I would say, 90 to 95% of the cases that should be correct, but sometimes it's just lazy. It either doesn't want to do stuff or it can mess up the data, like with the exchange rates, unfortunately. So nevertheless, I think this is pretty cool. This is a very powerful feature. If you're not an Excel nerd, that might benefit you very much. And you've just watched Copilot crunch numbers, color code the winners, build charts, and explain the formulas, all faster than you can brew a coffee. Grab all the documents and prompts I use for this tutorial under the video description. If you need a bigger productivity boost, drop me a line at flowbyteai and we will tailor an automation for your workflow. Next episode lands next week. Copilot in Outlook turning email chaos into inbox zero. Like if today's demo saved you a headache, subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series, and I'll see you in the next one.